It is Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by our friends over at SeatGeek. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, along for the ride as well. All right. We got games in the book. New York, Los Angeles. I don't know. Is it weird just having two games and four teams? And I feel like we're getting close to the end, and I don't know how I feel exactly about all this stuff.
I like it, Chris. I mean, I love being able to analyze every single pitch, every single play. I like when games get condensed like this. So, yes, it means the season's coming to an end, but this is what we call, Chris, the climax.
Ooh.
I don't know if you know what that is.
Well, I do, because speaking of being excited, this is another edition of Baseball Today presented to you by SeatGeek. And we have a special announcement to celebrate the baseball playoffs. SeatGeek, the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, giving you all 10% off your next purchase. Use the code JOHNBOYPLAYOFFS10. It doesn't matter if you're buying brand new or if you've bought before on SeatGeek. That code JOHNBOYPLAYOFFS10 is going to hook you up. Once again, that's JOHNBOYPLAYOFFS10, 10% off your next SeatGeek purchase. You will thank us later. And oh, by the way, what?
I was trying to do 10 in the screen. My bad.
Oh, okay. There you go. One other thing. SeatGeek, we do our question of the week on Friday. If we pick yours, make sure it's good, creative, funny, makes us laugh, makes us think, challenges us. If we pick yours, you get a $500 credit toward your next purchase on the SeatGeek app. So go do that. Tip of the cap. Well, Tay-Tay is not just about the NFL. She showed up at Yankee Stadium with her beau, Travis Kelce, a Cleveland Heights native, although I didn't see any Guardians gear on him.
This was interesting to me, Chris. I know he's from Cleveland. I understand that. He should be rooting for the Guardians, but I'm just like, did Major League Baseball pay those two to go there? They've seen what Taylor Swift has done for the NFL. Just the announcement that they were going to be at the game was drumming up, excitement on social media. I don't think it's a bad play by Major League Baseball to do that, by the way. I'm just saying. I'm just thinking out loud here, people.
Good business. Good business. Yeah. But, Trav, next time you show up, represent the hometown. Nobody's going to get me mad at you. That's all.
I agree.
He threw out the first pitch this year in Cleveland. One-hopped it, but he threw it out or attempted to.
Where's LeBron at?
LeBron's busy. He's got training camp. He's playing hoops with his kid. So we understand that. Speaking of pitches that bounced, we'll get to that as far as Cleveland's relievers went. When they did throw it over the plate, at least their starting pitcher, it didn't go so well, right, Juan Soto?
Cobb deals a 2-1. Soto, a high drive, right center field. Wind beating it up, and it's going to defy the wind. A home run by Soto. Towering drive, piercing that wind coming in.
Well, the Yankees didn't have to do much hitting on Monday night. Stanton went deep. Soto went deep, which is something he does on a regular basis against Alex Cobb, it certainly feels like. The biggest thing here, though, was kind of felt like game one against the Kansas City Royals. The wildness of the Cleveland pen. You cannot do that against the New York Yankees because they can, even if there's just solo shots. And the pitching is so good right now, you can't afford to do that against New York.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about New York's pitching being so good. You can talk about Cleveland's offense being kind of like not their strong suit. And I think, besides the free passes and the pass balls, they actually did a good job, keeping the Yankees offense in check. Did they only have 6 hits in the game? 4 singles, 2 solo shots. So they kind of did their job besides the free passes. And we know, like, if you're a Guardians fan, you can't give them extra outs. You can't give them extra 90 feet because your offense isn't really, I mean, game by game, possibly you'll get lucky and you'll score 6-7 runs. This is a team that largely, has trouble putting up crooked numbers. So you can't give them those extra runs the way they did tonight.
No, and obviously the main perpetrator was Joey Cantillo, who came in relief of Alex Cobb and had to face Anthony Rizzo with the bases loaded, and the poor guy was throwing bounce passes. Now, for people that really don't know much about him, he is a starter by trade. He has not been a top prospect in Cleveland's organization, and I really thought that Stephen Vogt put him in an odd position. I would have gone with somebody with a little more playoff experience, maybe a shorter reliever, a guy who's used to coming on with traffic. I thought it was an odd choice, and the poor kid, he tied a playoff record of Rick Ankiel in terms of wild pitches in one inning of a playoff game. And for anybody who, do you even remember the whole Rick Ankiel stuff, or were you too young?
I do. I mean, I was too young. What year was that? 2000 something?
I think it was 2000, actually.
Yeah, Chris. Y2K. Of course, I remember that.
Okay, good. Well, so yeah, you were like 14 or something,
I
right?
think I was, yeah.
For people that don't remember it, it was rough. It was rough watching him. I think he threw like 6 wild pitches or something in a game. It was brutal. And you kind of had that same feeling here, like, oh my gosh, this poor kid's spiking everything.
I will say this. Yes, he was walking people. He was all over the place. I don't think Bo Naylor offered him much help in regards to blocking those. And I was curious. I went and looked up his blocking metrics, on Baseball Savant. He's actually positive. He's like in the 66th percentile. He's got 3+ in that category. But the leg down thing, I get it. I know why we're doing it. We're stealing strikes, and over the course of a year, it's probably better. But in those situations, and we're talking about every single run counts, I think that you have to understand you got to get down and just give it a little bit better effort than kind of just swiping at it. And there are some pitches like a spiked, like when you throw a fastball and it's a wild pitch, that's more difficult for a catcher because he's not really expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
An off-speed pitch, I think they're a little more set up for that, but I don't think he really helped Cantillo out. And then, yeah, I agree. It was a weird position. We'll talk about Dave Roberts a little bit later, but I feel like between him and Stephen Vogt, it was strange to me they didn't really go to like high leverage bullpen guys in these games.
Yeah, it was interesting. And by the way, just a little nugget here. I was shocked that Austin Hedges did not start. It doesn't matter. People could say, well, he can't hit where Bo Naylor hasn't gotten a hit in the postseason either. And Hedges behind the plate is significantly better defensively and in terms of calling a game and being a leader back there and being able to deal with all sorts of stuff. Bo Naylor's still a young catcher. Maybe one day he'll get it. But as of right now, Hedges is significantly better back there. But this isn't about Cleveland pitchers spiking and all that sort of stuff. This is about Carlos Rodon and a bullpen that really continues to be dominant. For Rodon, his first playoff start against Kansas City, first few innings, humming along, talking smack, all that sort of stuff. And then he kind of lost it in one inning. And we were like, what the hell happened to you? Well, in this one, 6 great innings, gave up 1 solo shot, 9 strikeouts, didn't walk anybody. There was no BS out on the mound. He was just all business. And that's exactly what they signed up for when they gave him $160+ million.
Yeah, it was nice. A lot of tongue so far in these playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. That's the new celebration, I guess. What gets me excited? Speaking of tongue, 9 Ks, no walks. that gets me going. The only blemish is that Brian Rocchio. Of course, it's Brian Rocchio. I always tell you about that guy with the solo shot. But yeah, he was phenomenal. He was able to keep the emotions a little bit more in check. He set the tone, man. He set the tone and going, Clay Holmes has obviously done great. Tim Hill ends up finally giving the first run for the Yankees bullpen in the postseason. Weaver comes in, earned run, shuts the door. Mm-hmm. It was pretty much everything the Yankees could hope for in game 1.
Yeah, because it's interesting. They haven't blasted off offensively, and maybe they won't this playoff, and they could end up in the World Series without having to do it. It doesn't mean they can't. It just means that they haven't. And it has turned into a pitching nightmare for the opposition, whether that be Kansas City or Cleveland so far. So we look ahead to game 2, and here's where the uphill battle continues for Cleveland. They're going to throw their best starter, Tanner Bybee, against Garrett Cole. And we know what Garrett Cole is all about in the postseason. He's thrown 116+ innings. He struck out 142 guys. Well, we saw what he wasn't good in game 1 against Kansas City. He was great in game 4 as they advanced, and then he got hammered afterward, and that was just kind of fun to watch him unwind a little bit. We've seen what he's done in the past against Cleveland in a must-win game in 2022. So if you're a Yankee fan, you're feeling great about this, right?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have your ace on the mound trying to go up 2-0 at home, yeah, you're feeling good. I will go back to the fact that, again, and I think Cleveland they did a good job besides Cantillo and keeping the Yankees hitters at bay. So if you can do that again, if Bybee and the quote unquote good bullpen can, let's just say, hold the Yankees to 4 runs tomorrow. Let's give them 4 runs tomorrow. You don't, do you think they don't have a chance if they give it 4 runs?
Well, Garrett Cole's 7-2 all time against Cleveland, and it's just not. That's not a number.
They had some chances tonight too. That's the thing. They had
did.
some chances. Ramirez comes up there as a tying run against Weaver, and I think it's about as best as you can hope for. That's kind of what I'm imagining. 3-4 runs is like the best you can hope for. I think this Yankees offense it's interesting. We see Judge, and he is struggling. He's hit. He hits the sac fly tonight, and he's hitting 133 in the playoffs, Chris.
Yeah, and they're 4-1 so far.
And they're 4-1. Just watch out for freaking Juan Soto. You know what his numbers against Cobb are now?
Yeah, they're ridiculous. He's hit 3 homers, and he's like
he was 9 for 11, 7 for 11 coming into the game. He's 9 for 13 now, 2 dotting it. I'm not saying let Aaron Judge beat you. That's the craziest thing that no one will ever say that. But I'm not totally ready to throw in the towel for the Guardians.
No, you can't. I mean, it's one game. We'll talk about the Mets in just a second. They lost 9-0 in game 1 and came back to take game 2. So the difference is that they went against the Dodger bullpen game, and Cleveland's going against New York's best pitcher. So that's the difference here. For Bybee, the key is going to be kind of harnessing his emotions. He's an emotional, vocal guy. He is constantly staring in, wanting pitches. I love the kid, but that kind of ticks me off. I just think he expends too much energy on that sort of stuff. Just throw the ball, go do your game. But he seems to wiggle out of a lot of jams, and we'll see if he's able to keep the Guardians in this. That's going to be the key here. And then that crowd's going to be right on top of him. And Cleveland's got to get some major hits. I mean, the nice thing was Jose Ramirez barreled up a couple of balls. Aaron Judge made 2 really good plays on him.
So, yes, that's the formula. Timely hits. They didn't get them tonight. And also stop walking people. Don't walk people.
Right. The Yankees hit 2 solo homers, and then their other 3 runs, 2 were scored on wild pitches, and 1 scored on a sac fly, driving in a guy who had walked. That's okay.
Yankees pitching 14 Ks to 1 walk. Guardians pitching 9 Ks to 7 walks. That's not the ratio.
That's not a good formula. Not a good formula.
That's like a Ken Rosenthal writing about Manny Machado and Tatis ratio.
That's hey now. Okay, we're going to focus on the NLCS in just a bit, but first, this word from Trevor Plouffe.
Yes, Chris. Of course, I love to read these. Today's episode is brought to you by Pickit, Pikkit. It's a free bet tracker that allows you to see all of your bets in one place. The app tells you which teams, players, and even bet types you're most profitable on. You can also see your friends' bets. Jake's are on the app, so you can easily tail him, or what I would like to do with Jake is what I usually do is fade Jake. Fade the Jake needs to be a saying. And Pickit is a great way to track what sports and players you're up or down on, or what Jake is up and down on. The historical context that Pickit provides, I believe, is invaluable. We've got our calendar on screen. You should take a look at yours. Download Pickit now with code JOMBOY, JOMBOY, to get $3 or $100 sent directly to your PayPal or Venmo. Either scan the QR code on the screen or head to pikkit.com today.
We head from east to west. The NLCS is tied up at a game apiece after the Mets took care of the Dodgers in game 2 out in Los Angeles. Francisco Lindor really set the tone. First at bat of the game, he snaps the Dodgers' 33 consecutive inning scoreless playoff streak with a homer. And then later in the game, they didn't want to face Lindor, so they intentionally walked him to load the bases for Mark Vientos. Let's see how that turned out.
Crack to right center field. Pages on the move to the track. He couldn't find it. That's because it's over the wall. Grand slam, Vientos.
To be honest with you, I took it personal. I was like, okay, I mean, you want me up to the plate, I'm going to try to drive in a run. Honestly, I was trying to simplify the game. I wasn't trying to do too much, but I did take it personal that they walked Lindor for the bases loaded for me.
For those of you that are audio only, please go to our YouTube channel and just check out what Mark Vientos looks like during the on-field interview with Tom Verducci afterward. He's got the chain. He's got the shades working, even though he's already in the shade doing the interview after the game. He's got the earrings. He's popping everything. As I tweeted it when it happened, he ain't scared. That dude ain't scared of the moment.
No, not at all. He's time and time again this year come up clutch for the Mets. And I think coming into the game, what did I say? I said they got to play small ball first, and then the home runs will come. And Lindor's like, no, how about we just hit the home runs first, Trev? And that was the end to the Dodgers scoreless streak. We did say they had to do that. I mean, I don't blame Dave Roberts for walking Lindor one bit. I think that's a move you make 100 out of 100 times. At first, when Vientos hit that ball, I was actually at one of my favorite lunch places watching the game and around a lot of Dodgers fans. And I was like, oh, I think that's a fly ball. And it kept going and it kept going and it kept going. And all of a sudden, the whole place just kind of like was down after that. But an incredible swing. They put together good at bats. Like I said earlier, I thought it was pretty interesting to see how Dave Roberts used his pen today. I didn't love everything that I saw, but I think the credit has to be given to the Mets. And then in particular, Vientos, he did not have good at bats last night. I think that there was one play where he was up when he probably shouldn't have been up. Mookie's ball gets by him. And I just said, I think the game was kind of speeding up on him a little bit. He just needed to just chill out and go play his game. And then today he does this. So obviously he knew that, came into this game with a better approach. He said right there, I was just trying to simplify, get one run in. This he's the real deal, Chris. I don't think this is just like some one season, had a good rookie year type thing. He shows composure. I like his swing. I actually like the way he plays defense at third base as well. So I've been on Mark Vientos, and I think that he's the real deal for the Mets.
Youngest player to hit a grand slam in LCS history. He is also one RBI shy of the Mets' single-season playoff record, shared by the Grandy Man and John Olerud. He also has 14 hits, including 5 extra base knocks so far. And he's a dude. He is a dude, and he's going to be there in New York City, and he just seems to fit Citi Field and Queens perfectly. So you got a good one. I do want to get back and double back here to the Lindor at bat that started the game. He fouled off 4 straight pitches before going deep. And, I mean, is there a better guy than Francisco Lindor to be the tone setter for the New York Mets based on what's happened the last 3.5 weeks?
No, I mean, it was great. We talked about him having to have good at-bats. 8 pitches. He fouls a pitch off of his shin, gets back in the box, gets the cutter. And I don't think that was an offensive A-swing. I think he was looking to get a good pitch to hit. And he got a good pitch to hit, and that's what happens when you're up there trying to, win the game yourself or hit a 3-run homer with nobody on base. I think that's when you get a little bit out of sorts. He rarely ever does that. He understands, how to have professional bats, and that was just obviously a prime example of him doing that.
Sean Manaea was good, not great. He started off great. 4 innings, shutout ball, got to the 5th. It got a little dirty there, but still, he continues to just. I mean, I know it's weird to say that a guy in his early 30s is kind of blossoming, but that's what it feels like. He's such a different pitcher mechanically, and it seems like emotionally as well out there. He's just a different dude.
I really would venture out to say that like 95% of guys that pitch as long as Manaea they have to make adjustments, Chris. And it's not always mechanical adjustments. Sometimes it could be repertoire. It could be, different things. He found this after watching Chris Sale, and it's proved to be incredible for him. So, I think you have to give credit to him for understanding that as not only a pitcher, but as a player to play as long, get 6, 7, 8 years in, 9, 10, like you have to continue to make these adjustments as the league adjusts to you. And I mean, I don't know who suggested that to him. I don't know what it was, but whoever it is, like, he owes a nice handshake, maybe a nice dinner.
Mets bullpen did fine. Edwin Diaz came on for a multi-inning save yet again. I thought his stuff looked great because he was relying on the fastball. It really seemed to be exploding out of his hand. And then in the top of the ninth, when he's sitting on the bench, Mets tack on another run. I know that you didn't love the Dodgers pitching choice there, right?
Well, so I would have liked to seen one of their high leverage guys come in at that point, because you understand the top of your lineup is going to get a chance there. It's going to be 9-1-2. It's 6-3. Let's keep it 6-3. Let's keep it as close as possible. So you give these guys a chance. Instead, you have a guy in there, and Enriquez, that, he threw 3 1/3 innings during the regular season. He's 22 years old. Like, things are going to get to him. Polar Bear Pete steals a base. He gives up the hit to Marte. Now all of a sudden it's a 4-run game. Flash forward to the bottom of the ninth. Pages gets on. Shohei gets on. And now instead of Mookie, Freeman, and Teoscar having a chance to tie the game up, and Edwin Diaz understanding that, hey, one pitch here and the game is tied, he can still throw freely, because even if they clip him, so what? They're still up. I think it changed the game. It is hindsight, but I think those are the types of moves that, can change a series. Giving up that extra lead, and you have to pat, the Mets and Marte and Pete on the back for getting that extra run. I wrote in my notes, that's a dagger. And it ended up being that. He goes and strikes out Mookie, Freeman, and Teoscar because he's able to pitch without fear of a home run beating him. I think it changed the game. And I would have rather have had a Hudson or a Kopech or something like that. Someone like that in the game at that point.
All right, good job by the Mets. If you asked them before the series, you happy with a split out in L.A. and going back for 3, 4, 5 at Citi Field? Probably get an answer like yes. And the Dodgers, I'm sure they are not panicking. They've had to win in the opposition's yard as well to either end a series or to get it back home. I think we're in for a long series here. Could be very interesting. Off day for them, and they will continue at Citi Field on Wednesday night. We'll preview that on the next show. Clayton Kershaw, not pitching this postseason. Toe injury, couldn't shake it. But remember, he had off-season shoulder surgery, and he returned this year, and he did pitch. And he made this pitch on the Fox pregame show that kind of opened our eyes and ears.
Use of the surgery, I don't want to have surgery and then shut it down. So, I'm going to come back next year and give it a go and, see how it goes.
Were you surprised to hear that?
At this point, I don't know if I'm surprised at all, because I feel like every, off season or at some point we hear Kershaw's coming back to LA. I mean, I think it's cool. Like, I want him to pitch as long as he wants to pitch. And I think that's basically the arrangement he has with the Dodgers is, hey, if you want to pitch, you can come pitch for us. In what capacity? I don't know. If you're a Dodger fan, I think you're hoping and expecting a lot of starting pitching to be healthy next year. So who knows what that rotation is going to look like, how many guys are going to be in it, and again, what role he'll play. But he's a legend, dude. And again, I think it's good for the Dodgers if he's pitching in with their team.
He'll be 37 next spring. He's got 4 kids. He lives in Dallas. He does have a home, obviously, out here in Los Angeles. But I'm always curious. Like, that's something I would like to talk to him about, is at what point is enough enough? Now, I understand this. When he worked as hard as he did to come back from shoulder surgery, which is no joke, whether you're 27 or 37, and he did it at age 36, I guess I should say, or maybe even 35, and then he turned 36 in the spring. You understand the point. The point is that it ain't easy. It ain't easy. And that's what?
Guys pitch for a long time now.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying this, is that he's got kids, and I think his oldest one is probably right around Teddy's age. And this is when it starts to, like, you're like, oh, you're coaching kids and having fun and just being dad. And I'm not judging him. I'm just saying I wonder how he comes to that decision. Maybe I'll try and talk to him about that. He's, open door policy here at the Rose Rotation.
I like that. I mean, look, I agree. I'm a dad. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to be everywhere with my kids. I was just at baseball practice today, listening to the Yankee game on our speaker. I had it playing for the kids while we were practicing. So I understand that, but
Bad parenting. It was actually the Guardians game, but that's fine.
what did I say? Oh, the Yankees game. Sorry. He still got the fire in him, Chris. Let the guy pitch.
I'm not saying I'm not questioning it. I just would love to hear the response because it's something that I'm sure he wrestles with. Like, it is not easy to get ready for another long season and to start in February and to likely end in October and to do that grind and to fly to, Tampa Bay at
Maybe he won't.
1 a.m. Maybe what?
Maybe he won't. Maybe he'll be on the Roger Clemens schedule.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Could be.
If he's in the starting rotation, I don't think the Dodgers would make, like, if he said, "Hey, man, like, if I'm not gonna start in the next series, like, I'm gonna go home." I don't think they'd care.
Yeah, I don't think that's what he's about.
I don't think so either.
Once again, today's episode brought to you by SeatGeek, the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, and we are smack dab in the middle of the LCSs. To celebrate, SeatGeek is giving you a special offer to everybody. Use the code JOHNBOYPlayoffs10, 10% off your order, whether you're a first-time buyer or a returning customer. So take that phone, open up the SeatGeek app, or download it, JOHNBOYPlayoffs10, add that code to your account. Do it right now. Now, if you don't know what SeatGeek is, it's the #1 rated ticketing app. It makes buying tickets super simple. And they're looking out for your wallet. They rate every ticket on a scale of 0 to 10 to make sure you are getting the best deal possible. So let's say you want to buy some tickets to the upcoming NBA season, and you've seen that there's a green dot on there. That means that's a good deal. If there's a red dot, that means it's bad. But you might look on it and say, wait, they're saying these fifth row seats, red dot, it's only graded on a scale of 0 to 10, a 4. There's no way. No, they're saying not the seats aren't bad. It means the deal ain't great. So they're looking out for you. Now take advantage of this special postseason hookup. Use that code JOHNBOYPlayoffs10, 10% off the tickets at SeatGeek. Code works on tickets to anything. Doesn't matter how many times you bought tickets before. Do it again. So open up the phone. Add the code JOHNBOYPlayoffs10 to your account. Thank us later. Maybe we'll see you at a game sometime in the near future. Before we get out of here, you little snake, you. Dodgers dugout. There was like, I don't know. What did we ever identify? Brett Honeywell almost stepped on this thing. What type of snake that was? Are you an expert on this pool guy?
So I don't know if there's a difference between a garden snake and a gardener snake. I think it was a garden snake. I've seen these. I have these in my yard sometimes, although I do have snake fencing. As long as you don't see like a rattle or some weird colors, like you're fine out here. You definitely got to stay away from those baby rattlesnakes. We used to have this one guy in my neighborhood, Chris, where I grew up, was like kind of the sticks out there in Castaic. Lived like on like some hilly land, whatever. And we had a guy in our neighborhood that if you saw a rattlesnake, you called him.
Oh, he was the rattlesnake charmer.
And he would come with a shovel.
Oh, and cut the head off?
Yes.
Oh.
His name was John. I still remember him. And you just, hey, John, got a rattler back here.
Yeah, I'm just not into this stuff.
I'm sorry for people that like are mad. I didn't do. I'm just saying what happened with John.
Yeah, you're a fact reporter here. You're just telling the story. I'm not. I don't do snakes. I'm not so sure. Like one of the, I don't know if it was a clubby or somebody who came over with a towel and removed the snake. I'm not sure physically I could do that. I'm just
that snake. I catch him all the time. If I see him back here, and you let your kids play with them and stuff, it's fun.
What?
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I will tell you this story. One of the one-off shows that I did was a show called Guinness World Record Amazing Animals, and I had to host it. And so one of the things we did was they found the largest python in U.S. history. They found it in like Peoria, Illinois. It was 33 feet. They brought it out.
What is it doing in Illinois?
I don't know. Maybe they like the weather at some point. And we all had to hold it. This thing.
Wait. This was there's no way a wild snake was in Peoria, Illinois. A python.
I think that's where it was. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
So it came in to our show, and we all held it. They brought people in from the crowd to hold this thing. It was ridiculous. I couldn't believe what it felt like, too. It was so weird. It still gives me the heebie-jeebies. I'm kind of a wuss, though. So
I'm more of like scared of spider guy than scared of snake guy. I don't mess with spiders.
All right.
I'll step on them, but
Oh, stop now.
People are not going to like this episode.
Yes, they are. Give us a thumbs up while you're there, and like it and
Like and
subscribe.
subscribe.
All right, we're back at it again on Wednesday. Guardians are going to try and tie up the ALCS at a game apiece. NLCS has got travel day. They're back to work on Wednesday. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, the uber-talented snake charmer, Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We'll see you Wednesday here on Baseball Today, presented to you by SeatGeek.